Okay, so this is the first video where I'm using footage from other channels because there are some rides I don't have footage of and I can't improvise like how I drew the fire in my Kings of Minions video. These channels I'm using clips from are free to use as long as you credit them and no permission required, and that's a good thing because not all of us have high quality cameras or the ability to go to lots of parks. All video from other channel will of course be credited when shown. Who do you think I am, Sniper Wolf? Any park footage that doesn't have any credit displayed means either 1, I screwed up, or 2, it's footage actually shot by me or my family. I really hope it's the latter. Anyways, enjoy the video!
The amusement industry is filled with hundreds, if not thousands of coasters spread throughout the globe, from the Americas to Europe to even North Korea. Of these many coasters, I have ridden the grand total of 10. Yeah, it's pretty low, especially since I've been to many parks that have coasters ranging from B&Ms to RMCs to many others, including Hypers and even Gigas. So why don't I ride that many coasters?
Because I'm a wimp!
But since I've ridden exactly 10 coasters, I figure I would rank them all in a top 10 list. I already posted this in the comments in one of Taylor's shorts asking about top 10s, so it won't be a surprise to anyone who's seen it. But anyways, let's get to the list. Number 10. This is both the only indoor coaster I've ridden and the only powered one I've ever ridden.
Yes, powered coasters do count. Fight me!
Back at a barnyard hayride at Nickelodeon Universe at the Mall of America. I first rode this in 2004 while on the move from Washington State to Virginia. Back then, it was called Lil Shaver. However, my memory of riding it is faint and I wasn't sure if I rode it or not, but I put those doubts behind when I finally re-rode it in 2013. I later found footage of me riding it in the Hold Home movies, which are shown here. One thing I find weird is that it's the smallest coaster in the park and there isn't any other kiddie coasters in the park. I know space is limited, so I guess they'd have to remove something to make room for it. Also, why the barnyard theme? I get that the show and the original movie have become the subject of memes, but that didn't happen yet when it was rethemed in 2008. But I guess it was because it was new back in...
Hey folks, viewer mail time again. Oh, here's one from Jakari, age 23. Dear Zach, isn't it odd that of the 9 parks across the US and Canada that have had Nickelodeon as a major presence, only one of their coasters have been Nick Jr. themed? Oh, the answer is yes, Jakari. Yes, it is. P.S. Isn't it disappointing that the only love Nickelodeon Universe gave the Winx Club was just pictures as a fairy that makes me offended? Okay, maybe go to Magic Land in Italy. Oh, wait. Keep those cards and letters coming! Yeah, out of all the coasters themed to Nickelodeon across America, only one of them have been themed to one of their preschool shows, and it's arguably their most controversial one, Little Bill. I know that there are Paw Patrol and Backyardigans coasters over in Europe, but over here, we just have to deal with the Bill Cosby one, even though it's no longer Bill Cosby themed. Let's get back to the countdown with...
Number 9.
Remember the Thomas and Friends special Calling All Engines when Percy had a nightmare that he was converted into a roller coaster? Well, that nightmare became true in 2008 with my number 9 pick, Magic Flyer at Six Flags Magic Mountain.
This is pretty much my rarest credit because it has a maximum height requirement of 54 inches. Also, it's the oldest coaster I've ridden, dating back to 1946 when it opened at LA's Beverly Park as Little Dipper before being moved to Magic Mountain for its opening in 1971 as Clown Coaster.
Weird name.
Then it became Wile E. Coyote Coaster in 1985 when the Looney Tunes theming became permanent, and then went into storage in 1998 when Canyon Blaster was set to open. In 2001, seeing an opportunity to overtake Cedar Point for most coasters at a single park, reopened the ride as Gladiator Jr. in its current location.
And it was the only one of the park's 3 coasters to open on time, the others being delayed.
In 2008, with Thomastown opening in the park, the front car was changed to Percy and the back cars to non-character freight cars with the new name Percy's Railway, and this was the state that I rode it in. I was big into Thomas back in the day, and Thomastown was the entire reason why I wanted to go to Magic Mountain in the first place. However, in 2010, as Six Flags was exiting their bankruptcy, they cut ties with their recent licensed properties, Thomas included, and Thomastown became the generic Whistle Stop Park, and Percy's Railway became Magic Flyer. By the time I returned to the park in 2014, I was too tall to ride it, so those rides in 2008 were the only time I rode it. Number 8.
Okay, so the next 2 spots on the list are clones, but to keep this video at an even 10, I decided to count them separately, and since I don't know how the experiences were, I decided to go off of public perception.
Anyway, number 8 is Roadrunner Express at Six Flags Discovery Kingdom, of Zamperla Family Gravity.
Remember when we all thought that Michigan's Adventure was going to get one of these for Camp Snoopy in 2020 instead of a relocated Big Dipper, even though the concept art literally showed Big Dipper's layout?
Yeah, I don't have much to say about this coaster other than the coaster community doesn't like this particular one much. Logan literally called it child abuse and rated it -1000. Number 7.
Okay. I don't have any pictures or video in this coaster that's readily available because my parents photographed it and didn't send me any of it. I decided to use footage from Airtime Thrills instead. Go check his channel out, he has great content.
Before 2023, my latest credit was Speedy Gonzalez Hot Rod Racers at Six Flags Magic Mountain, which I rode in 2014, in its opening year. It's the only coaster I've ridden in its opening year, and re-themes don't count. For some reason, this was the ride that broke me when we went, and I didn't ride a single coaster for the rest of the day despite planning to ride Gold Rusher, Revolution, Ninja, and etc. I almost rode their Roadrunner Express before we were called to do a thing, and we never got around to riding it again. If I had ridden it again, it would have been the closest thing to me going to Louisiana before actually going there in 2017, where I actually went near its former home.
However, 2 coasters do survive and are operating. Batman the Ride and Roadrunner Express. Both of them have been relocated.
Anyway, on to the next one. Number 6. And now for the only coaster I've ever ridden that's now defunct. Timberline Twister at Knott's Berry Farm. I actually dedicated my Michigan's Adventure video to it as it had recently been removed. It's one of 2 Bradley and Kay coasters I've ridden, the other being the aforementioned Magic Flyer. It was filled with many dips and turns, especially for a kiddie coaster, and one of the few coasters I've ridden on more than one visit, having ridden this in 2008 and 2009.
If I ever travel back to California and go to Knott's, I probably might ride their new Daddy Pig clone coming to Camp Snoopy in 2024. And if Montezuma ends up staying, it will be tied with Busch Gardens Williamsburg for more slide coasters at one park with 4. And if Monty ends up dying, well, he still be tied for second with 3.
Number 5. After Shaver, the very second coaster I've ever ridden was Taxi Jam at King's Dominion, now known as the Great Pumpkin Coaster. I already talked a bit about it in my King's Dominion video, but I didn't go into much detail there, so I'll give explanation more on the Taxi Jam coasters. In 1992, the year before Paramount took over, Kings Island added an E&F Mylar kiddie coaster named Scooby Zoom. Paramount took a liking to E&F and put more of them in all their parks, all named Taxi Jam, but themed Kings Island one to Top Cat. The Great America and Canada's Wonderland ones were the smallest, followed by the Kings Island and Dominion ones, and then the Carowinds one is the biggest. All of them except for Canada's Wonderland have since ditched the Taxi Jam theme. The Island and Dominion ones are now called the Great Pumpkin Coaster. The Carowinds one is now called Wilderness Run, and the Great America one is called Lucy's Krabby Cabby.
Where was I? Oh, now for
Number 4. In my Michigan's Adventure video, I talked a bit about Woodstock Express and my experience with it, showing a video of me riding it and doing a song about it.
an idea that was floating in my head before I even went to the park.
But it's about time I gave it an actual review. The Chance Rides Big Dipper model is a fantastic one with curved lift hill and its turns. I say more parks should have these kinds of rides, as it's a decent ride for kids and even older riders looking for a smaller coaster. Like Six Flags and Cedar Fair each only have one standard one, while Six Flags Over Georgia has an extended one with Joker's Funhouse coaster, not to mention the original one at Dutch Wonderland. Number 3. Roller coasters have often been compared to snakes due to all the ways they curve and bend, so it makes sense that a couple of elements have been named after snakes, like the Cobra Roll, Cobra Loop, and Flying Snake Dive. There's also been some coasters themselves themed to snakes, but only a few, like the various Viper coasters at Six Flags parks, and what I'm talking about now, Cobra at Six Flags Discovery Kingdom. It's one of Zero's large Tivoli models, which have also been installed at a few other Six Flags parks such as New England, Great America, and Mexico. It's a pretty decent step up from the kiddie coasters at whatever they're at, and the biggest coaster at the park prior to Sidewinder Safari, not to go upside down.
Another fun fact is that until 2023, it was the only coaster I've ridden that went through a single lap.
Yeah, every other ride, including the one I'm about to talk about, had at least 2 laps. But anyway, with Cobra, give it or any other Zero Tivoli ride a ride if you haven't already. Number 2. If there's one thing that Morgan is known for, it's big rides, usually hypers. In addition to Superman El Ultimo Escape, which keeps showing up in Skyrizi commercials, there's Steel Force, Mamba, and Wild Thing.
There was also one planned for Michigan's Adventure that was scrapped when Cedar Fair took over, which is kind of sad, but also kind of surprising, because Cedar Fair loved putting these coasters in their smaller parks at a time.
They're also the only American manufacturer to ever build a Giga, and it's ironically the only traditional Giga located outside of North America, as every other Giga was built by the Swiss. However, while Morgan has their fair share of big coasters, they also have some small ones too.
And I'm not talking about Steel Eel.
Case in point, West Coaster at Pacific Park on the Santa Monica Pier. It's the tallest coaster I've ridden, but that's particularly because it's placed high above the boardwalk.
And now I want to see someone build a clone of the Stratosphere's high roller coaster, but on the ground.
It has a simple layout featuring helixes and hills, and surprisingly does it twice. It's definitely not the biggest boardwalk coaster, but only a few others exist in the West Coast, as all the real action is on the Jersey Shore, and thankfully, not the TV show.
Pacific Park is the only park I've been to that I've ridden every single coaster at. You go figure, they only have one coaster because space is limited since it's on a boardwalk. Since I've ridden exactly 10 coasters, there's no honorable mentions. And even if I ridden an 11th coaster, I would have pulled a Nostalgia Critic and go one step beyond and add it to the ranking itself. And now for the moment you've been waiting for.
Number 1.
Is it recency bias? Is it name bias because my name is Zach? Either way, number 1 is Zach Zoomer at Michigan's Adventure.
This is the park's first coaster by CCI, the other being the legendary Shivering Timbers. Yeah, CCI started with smaller coasters, the first being Canobie Coaster at Dutch Wonderland before expanding to do bigger rides. As for Zach's Zoomer, the layout isn't really original since it's pretty much the same as various Woodstock Express and Ghoster coasters at Kings Island, Kings Dominion, Carowinds, and Canada's Wonderland.
I'm surprised that when they added Camp Snoopy, they didn't make the area slightly bigger to include Zoomer and call that Woodstock Express and call Big Dipper Wilderness Run or something. But as someone named Zach, and on behalf of everyone else named Zach in the country, I'm glad they didn't.
One thing that actually sets this coaster above West Coaster for me is how it has more in the layout than just helixes and turns. This is my first and so far only wooden coaster I've ever ridden, and maybe someday I'll ride another one, whether I go and finally ride a big coaster, or something small like a Gravity Group family coaster, another CCI like the aforementioned Kingdom Coaster, or finally get on Kings Dominion Woodstock. I'll be there to do it in a future maybe.
And that's the list. Sorry if I filled it with tangents, but some of these I haven't talked about much, and some I haven't talked about at all. Also, isn't it neat that the number 10 coaster was the first coaster I've ridden, and my number 1 coaster is the 10th coaster I've ridden? And there are many parks that I haven't ridden coasters in at all. I've been to both Disneyland and California Adventure, as well as Busch Gardens Williamsburg, all 3 times or more, and haven't ridden a single coaster there. I also went to SeaWorld San Diego, but I haven't been there since 2009, so the only coaster they had was just Journey to Atlantis, and it's debatable on whether that is a true coaster or not. I've even been to family parks like Adventure City and Legoland and still rode no coasters. Am I a wimp or what? So, do you have any interesting top 10s? Let me know in the comments below and I'll read them, as well as any comments about the list in general. Bye for now! So as I'm recording this, it's the night of Christmas Day. Got some neat things. Got this model of Shivering Timbers right here. A ride that I have never ridden. So I'd like to thank you for getting this far in the video, and I would like to say that I apologize for not working on the Christmas video, which might come, but if it does, it will be very late and kind of out of season because Christmas would have passed. So, I don't know if you should hold your breath for that or not. And as for the Busch Gardens video, I swear it's coming. It will have to wait until sometime in 2024. I don't know when, but, I don't know. I might make a video where I update you on what might come to the channel in 2024,
but I am not really sure when it will happen. So you probably don't hold your breath on that.